Hello, thank you for checking out A1 Math, and today we're looking at system of linear equations and solving them with word problems. So let's take a look here. So the hard part about word problems is reading it and figuring out what to do. Well, with systems of equations, you know it's going to be two equations. It's just a matter of what form you're going to have your equations in. So let me show you the two forms, the most popular forms to have your linear equations in. It's either slope-intercept, where you have a slope and a y-intercept, or a standard form where you have ax plus by equals c, with these being constants. So the thing you want to recognize or try to interpret in the word problem is whether it's talking about a place where it begins and then change or moves every so often, or is it talking about the total or sum or added together, this is what it equals. Okay? So if it tells you, hey, it starts off at this, or it begins with this, or the original amount was this, and it moves this every so often, then it's going to be y equals mx plus b. But if it says something like we had this many of this plus this many of that, and the total was this, then you want to use ax plus by equals c. So let's take a look at a couple examples. Okay, so in this first example, Mr. Malone is putting money into two savings accounts. Account A started with 200 and account B started with 300. Notice you hear that word started. Okay, Mr. Malone deposits $15 in account A and $10 in account B each month. Every so often it changes because you're adding that amount to it. Okay, in how many months will the account have the same balance, and what will the balance be? So we want to know how many months will it take it to be the same balance, and then how much would that amount be? Okay, so what we want to know is when are these equations going to be equal? So with the started and each month, that lets you know we're going to use y equal mx plus b. And if both equations is this, you'll take the mx plus b part and sub together as substitution so you can solve it. So we're going to let the amount of months every month be our x. And the amount that we end up having, or the balance at the end, the dependent, we're going to make that be y. Okay, so if the account begins or starts at 200, that's going to be our B for account A. And it moves 15 every month, so we're going to put 15x. And all of that's going to equal to the amount, the total amount, and that's going to be our y. Okay, and the other equation is going to be y is equal to 10x plus 300. Because it begins at 300 and moves $10 every month for account B. All right, so left off my X. All right, now I'm going to take these two, and since this equals y, I can replace it with 10x plus 300. So that's 15x plus 200 is equal to 10x plus 300. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and solve, subtract 10x on both sides. And that leaves me with 5x plus 200 is equal to 300. Now subtract 200 on both sides. And that leaves me with 5x is equal to 100. And now divide by 5. And that means x is equal to 20. All right, now that I know that x is equal to 20, I'm going to take that 20 and plug it in and solve to figure out what the balance will be. So the 20 is going to represent the months. So when I plug in either one of these equations, that'll tell me what the balance would be in that savings account. So I'm going to go ahead and take the 10x plus 300 and say y is equal to 10 times 20 for my x plus 300. All right, and then I'm going to do 10 times 20, and that's going to get me 200. So y would be equal to 500. So in 20 months, the balance in both accounts would be $500. Let's take a look at another example. All right, Tom is currently has 5 comic books in his collection, and he's subscribed to receive 5 new comic books each month. Okay, so he has currently 5 comic books, and he's getting 5 new comic books every month. Okay, now his uncle has 145 comic books, but sends 5 to each of his nieces each month. So he starts with 145, begins, starts, has, but sends out 5 to each one of his 3 nieces each month. So that's the amount that's changing every month. So you can tell we're going to have a y equals mx plus b. All right, so in how many months will they have the same number of comic books, and how many books will they have? So we want to figure out the number of comic books and how many months it would take to get there. So the months is independent, and the amount of books you have will be the dependent. So we're going to make both of those equations there. So with the 5 comic books in his collection, that's what he's going to start with. Starts with 5, and he's gaining 5 every month. Okay, and that'll get his total amount of books. I'm going to change this to X. All right, now this one's slightly different. We're going to have y is equal to the amount of books that he has going out. So since he's losing books, it's going to be negative. And the amount he has coming out is 15, the uncle. But he started with a whole 145. Okay, so now what we're going to do is set these two equal to each other. So you have 5x plus 5 is equal to negative 15x plus 145. Okay, I'm going to add 15 on both sides, 15x. That's going to give me 20x plus 5 is equal to 145. And then I'm going to go ahead and subtract 5 on both sides. I get 20x is equal to 140. And then I'm going to divide by 20. And x is equal to 7. So it takes 7 months for them to have the same amount of comic books. One going up, the other one going down. And it'll take 7 months to be the exact same amount. But how many books would it be? So what you want to do is take this 7 and plug it into the equation. I'm going to pick this first one here. Y is equal to 5 times 7 plus 5. Which gives me y is equal to 35 plus 5. And y is equal to 40. Good. All right, so they will have 40 books left over after 7 months, both. Okay, so these are two examples with slope-intercept. Let's take a look at an example that has standard form. All right, so in this one, Maribel has $1.25 in her pocket, and the money is in quarters and dimes. There are a total of 8 coins. How many quarters and dimes does Maribel have in her pocket? Okay, so you've got two equations that you have to have for a system of equations, and what we're looking at is two totals. We've got 125 is the total amount of money in a pocket, and how many coins is in a pocket, which is 8. So what we need to do, we have the two totals, the actual amount of things or money that it adds up to. What we want to know is what adds up to get that. So we're going to use the AX plus BY equals C. But we know what the C is for both of them. One is 125 and the other one is 8. Okay, so for the money to add up to equal 125, it's going to be quarters and dimes. So I'm going to put quarters and dimes and put Q and D instead of X and Y. And the quarters, to actually be money, it would have to be 25 cents for each quarter. So I'm going to put 0.25 for this quarter and 10 cents for the dime. So every dime is multiplied by that quarter. Every dime is multiplied by 10 cents. Every quarter is multiplied by 25, and it will equal 125. Now, as far as coins, you don't have to multiply it by anything. You just have how many quarters plus how many dimes. And we're just going to add that together. So that's our system of equations. Now, there's multiple ways you could solve it. You could solve for Q or D and then plug it in. But I'm going to show you how to do it with the elimination method. So since I have 25 cent quarters and plus 10 cents a dime or whatever, what I'm going to do is make sure that I have something I can eliminate by multiplying by negative 0.25. And I'm going to that's bad spacing there. Negative 25. So I'm going to multiply that times the Q, the D, and the 8. And that'll give me a negative 0.25 to add here so I can eliminate. So I'm going to rewrite this first one, 25Q plus 10 cent is equal to 125. And negative 0.25 times Q will be negative 0.25Q plus negative 0.25Q, and it's going to make this a negative 0.25D is equal to a negative $2. All right. And now I'm just going to go ahead and add these together here. And that's going to get me 0 here. And here I'm going to get negative 0.15D. And that's going to be equal to negative 0.75. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and divide by 0.15 negative on both. And D is equal to 5. All right, so now I'm going to take this 5 and plug it in. So what this means is I have 5 dimes, and I'm plugging in to figure out how many quarters I have. So I'm just going to take the simple equation here. Q plus D is equal to 8. And plug in 5 for dimes. And when I subtract 5 from both sides, Q is going to be equal to 3. So what this means is if I have 5 dimes and 3 quarters, that's going to get me $1.25. Makes sense. 50 plus 75 cents. Okay. Well, that was solving a system of linear equations with word problems. I want to thank you for checking out A1 Math. Have a nice day.